This is the deep, husky sound of my voice. It is not brought on by vomit. So let's do this. Boyfriend Fights by Malone. When I was in middle school, the one thing I wanted more than anything else in this entire world was a boyfriend. Never actually having a boyfriend, I took my cues from The Notebook and that line that women put in their Facebook profiles for years after an attempt to make their unhappy relationships seem tolerable. Noah and Allie didn't agree on much. In fact, they didn't agree on anything. They fought all the time and challenged each other every day, but despite their differences, they had one thing in common. They were crazy about each other. When I finally had boyfriends, I realized that The Notebook was more than a little misleading. Our fights wouldn't be caused by the fact that we were so crazy about each other. They would actually be caused by irrational, melodramatic overreactions to tiny perceived slights that would get blown up into days-long and sometimes relationship-ending fights. I know this is true because I have definitively ranked up the top 3 most stupid fights I've ever had with a boyfriend. In other words, I made a non-exhaustive list of reasons why I'm still single. Before I get into the list, I do have an award. I have to award an honorable mention to somebody who actually wasn't my boyfriend, and the basis of our fight was somewhat legitimate, although his reaction certainly wasn't. The honorable mention goes to Rob, who cried in my front yard. In college, I had a long-distance boyfriend, and then I met Rob. Even before the friend zone was a colloquial term, Rob was the mayor of it. Literally and figuratively, he was a Boy Scout. We met through a school club that threw parties for people with Down syndrome. We lived around the corner from each other and acted like we were dating, and we went to the gym together, we made dinner for each other, we went to the library together. And one day, my roommate and I threw a house party, and of course, Rob was there. He and I drunkenly grinded in the living room to that rap song that goes, "I want to make love right now, now, now." I don't know if that's actually how it goes. He moved in for a kiss. I pulled away. I have a boyfriend! And he ran out of the front door, unfriended me on Facebook, and we never talked again. And that's how I thought the story ended, until 2 years later. I was talking to a professor who was in college in charge of the club where I met Rob. She told me that when he ran out of my house that night, he tripped on the cobblestones on my front walk, fell into the flower beds, and fractured his ankle. Unable to walk, but too proud to call me, even though I was just 10 feet inside, he called my professor, drunk in the middle of the night, to come help him. She found him sitting in the flower beds in my front yard, crying, and he begged her not to tell me. Good job, Professor. Rob is now a well-adjusted adult, a successful New York lawyer, with a fiance, a house with a white picket fence, and a dog, so I guess he wins after all. Top 3. Joe and the broken glass. My boyfriend, Joe, and I were celebrating at the end of the semester with champagne and some new champagne glasses that his mom gave him. We decided to watch The Aviator and predictably fell asleep because it is the longest and most boring movie ever. I woke up to the sound of broken glass when the champagne slipped out of Joe's hand. There was a glass all around his bare feet and none where I was. So I told him I would sweep it up so he didn't cut himself. He insisted on getting up and walking across the broken glass to clean it up. I couldn't understand why he was being so stubborn, dummy. And he would not listen as I kept telling him to sit down. So I slapped him upside the head. He stopped dead in his tracks. Joe was a combat veteran, highly decorated, and he had dreams that he was still in Iraq. That this worried some of my friends and family. Was he stable? What had he been through? How had it changed him? Was he violent? Safe? We dated for 6 months, and the only hint of violence was this. It was me who struck him. He didn't even react. We didn't talk for the rest of the night, and we broke up a couple of weeks later. It was my choice. Somehow I felt so ashamed of myself. I couldn't stand to be with him anymore. Number 2. Tom, who believed everything he saw on TV. My boyfriend Tom wanted me to watch his favorite TV show of all time, Forensics Files. A documentary-style show focused on the obscure science with reenactments of crimes and interviews with experts and scientists who were almost certainly actors. As he marveled at this amazing science that they used to solve crimes, I wondered aloud, how is this any different than the made-up science on CSI? I also casually mentioned that a lot of these science tests wouldn't be admissible in court and would likely be considered junk science. He was extremely upset at this accusation and began screaming at me that Forensics Files was real. He cried, turned off the TV, and I had to go home. This incident turned out to be indicative of how he felt about our relationship. He broke up with me a few months later because I was condescending. Whatever, Tom. Number 1, Kevin and the shampoo fight. Kevin and I were sophomores in college, and we had been dating for over a year. A friend needed a couple to take part in a focus group for his marketing class project. We went into it knowing nothing about the project, so we were surprised when they started asking each girl in the couple what products her boyfriend used for skincare and hair care. Kevin and I pretty much spent every moment together, both waking and sleeping, sometimes showering. What's up? So I knew exactly what kind of shampoo he used. In fact, we'd have conversations like, your hair smells so good. What is that? I told you I can do it. I remember him being so distinctly raving about this product. So when it was my turn, I answered confidently, Suave Coconut Shampoo. He freaked out, started shouting that I didn't know what I was talking about, and he uses Garnier Fructis. He was probably just embarrassed that I was calling him out for using a $1 shampoo, but now my pride is wounded too. I don't like him telling me I was wrong in front of all these people. We began screaming at each other. Suave, Garnier, Suave, Garnier, Suave, Garnier, for minutes. At some point, I cried. This focus group session was video recorded for the marketing project. So this tape was reviewed by students and professors, possibly an entire marketing class. I'm sorry for anyone who had to sit uncomfortably through a video of me crying over men's beauty products. Now, Joe is married and Rob and Kevin are engaged, not to each other. I try not to read into the fact that I'm still single and they've settled down. Girl, I know how you feel. But of course, my mind goes there. You're obviously not too difficult to love. But am I? What all these fights had in common was our mutual need to be right. Does that just disappear when you're truly in love? Do you no longer feel the need to be right all the time? Or do you look at your partner with such fondness that you think he or she truly is right all the time? So if any of these ex-boyfriends actually talked to them, I would ask him this. Joe, would you still walk over broken glass out of stubbornness? Do you feel safe enough with her to let her take care of you? Is she gentle with you in your stubbornness? Tom, does she sit there quietly and let you do all the talking, agreeing with everything you say, having long ago traded logic and her own opinions for the hope of an engagement ring? Would you still give her that engagement ring if she was the kind of girl who challenged you? Kevin, does she play along if you stretch the truth when you tell the story? Would you fight with her and make her cry if you didn't? If she didn't? Or would you love her too much to put her through that? They don't talk to me anymore. They gave up on me, and they love someone else now. Someone easier to love. Sometimes that realization hurts, but most of the time I'm happy being single because it means I never get in fights over broken glass or shampoo. Thank you.